Today, I will be doing a video that I have wanted to do for a good while now. I will be revealing who I have voted for in every episode of BFDI that I have voted in. The episodes in question are every episode released from Teapot 2 onwards, including the BFDIA episodes. I will be going in episode release order, so Teapot 2 through 6, then BFDIA 6, Teapot 7, BFDIA 7, and so on up to Teapot 19 and BFDIA 22. I will also be mentioning who I would have voted for if the vote happened today, if my votes would have changed compared to them. As I mentioned, the first episode I ever voted in was Teapot 2, the first to release after I joined the OSC back in 2021. My first vote ended up being for Belle because I felt bad for her due to the events of the episode, and apparently many others had the same idea as she was third safe. If the vote were held today though, I probably would have voted for Snowball instead. In Teapot 3, I voted for Winner because I wanted to ensure that the newbie would end up being safe. Of course, they were in fact the second safe on the S. If the vote were held today though, I would have voted for someone on Team 8 because of how close their half of the elimination ended up, but I'm not entirely sure who I would have chosen. Gatey maybe? I don't know. In Teapot 4, I voted for Remote, who happened to have L as her vote letter because she was my favorite at the time. Her vote letter turned out to be an unfortunate coincidence as she took an L in that she was eliminated. Today, I probably would have voted for Fanny. In Teapot 5, I voted for Basketball since I knew Snowball would be safe, but Basketball was much less certain. Clearly I was right because although she survived, she was in the bottom 2. This is the first episode where I would not have changed my vote. Sorry, Fries. Fanny was my favorite remaining Death Pact Againer as of Teapot 6, so she got my vote in that episode. Luckily, this time my pick survived comfortably despite being bottom 2. I do not regret my choice and I would have voted the same today, especially considering how much better I think she's gotten since. We take a break from Teapot for the first post-hiatus BFDIA episode, BFDIA 6. I am only going to mention who I disliked each episode since I usually like everyone who I don't dislike. The only contestant I disliked here was Rocky, because he betrayed his team to join Wobunch, and I don't care for much for him anyways. I still feel this was the right choice. For Teapot 7, I voted for Bottle. I knew she was in a lot of trouble after being bottom 2 at the start of the episode, and I also kind of wanted Rocky gone here as well. I just feel like he would have fit better in post-split than in Teapot. Yet again, I do not regret my vote. For BFDIA 7, I disliked Ice Cube and Fiery. Fiery because he sabotaged the team and is also kinda uninteresting outside of Season 1, and Ice Cube because she is just another character I don't really care for. Today I still would have disliked Fiery, but I might not have disliked Ice Cube. My vote for Golf Ball in Teapot 8 was absolutely the right choice with how close that one ended up being. She is a great character and I'm glad more people seem to recognize that nowadays. In BFDIA 8, I disliked Spongy and Yellowface. I have no idea why I disliked both of them. I thought I remembered only disliking Spongy to keep Yellowface safe. In any case, I would still dislike Yellowface today as I have only soured on him since, but it's unlikely I would still dislike Spongy. In Teapot 9, I voted B for Book. Much like with Bottle and Basketball, who coincidentally also start with B, I knew Book was in danger because she was bottom 2 in their last elimination. And I was right, as she was bottom 2 again this time, though she barely survived. I would not have changed my vote, as much like Fanny, she has gotten better since then in my eyes. I wanted to like all 4 in BFDIA 9, but I knew one of them had to go, so I just voted for Gelatin. He ended up getting out anyways, and I don't really regret it, especially as BFDIA has been great for fries. I disliked Spongy again in BFDIA 10. I don't remember for sure, but it was likely because of his actions in BFB, but in retrospect that was probably an unfair reason given BFDIA was before that. Today I probably would have disliked Ice Cube instead. For Teapot 10, I do not remember who I voted for, and since the votes were in a poll I can't just look for my comment. I'm pretty sure it was Book again though, given the events of the episode. If that is the case, I would vote the same now, and if not, I would switch to saving Book. In BFDIA 11, I disliked Ice Cube again because I was a bit tired of her. Not helping is how Pin lost her face because of her, which is likely why Pin became so evil later. I would not have changed this if it were held today. Next up is BFDIA 12, and in this one I disliked Nickel. His non sequiturs were really starting to annoy me by this point, plus everyone he was up against was better. I think it is criminal that Golf Ball got out over him. Needless to say, I would not change my vote given the chance. Teapot 11 had no voting, but Teapot 12 more than made up for that. Not only could I save a contestant on each team, I also got to choose an Exeter to rejoin the game. On Cloudier, I think I voted for Winner, on Bagged I remember choosing Bottle, and I know for sure I wanted Lai to rejoin. I do not regret any of these choices. BFDIA 14 was a head-to-head matchup between Book and Ruby, and for me the choice was obvious. As much as I like both of them, it was definitely Ruby's time to go. She definitely wasn't at her best towards the end of her run. In Teapot 13, I think my votes were for Tree and Eraser. I sadly do not remember for certain again, but that does sound right to me. I would have wanted to save them because my actual favorites on their teams were almost certainly safe. Regardless of how I had voted then, I would have voted that way today. I wish I had had the foresight to write down who I had voted for in Teapot episodes after the switch to private polls, though. In BFDIA 15, I disliked Nickel again for the same reasons as in BFDIA 12. Also similarly to BFDIA 12, I would not change this vote. In Teapot 14, I want to say I voted for Tree to be safe on Death Pact again for the same reason as Teapot 13. While for Bagged, I know for sure I voted for Lai for the same reason I voted for Winner in Teapot 3. This is another one I would not change how I voted on it, as will likely remain the case for most of the rest of the episodes after this. BFDIA 16 is an interesting one because I actually didn't leave a dislike on anyone's video. As a result, I don't really have anything to say about this one. I do kind of wonder what might have happened if one of the needles had the most dislikes, so maybe I would dislike Free Smart Needle today. BFDIA 17 is next up, and despite Nickel being up for elimination, I actually disliked Tennis Ball this time. I think I just didn't like how Tennis Ball was acting to Nickel at the time. I definitely would dislike Nickel instead today because Tennis Ball was definitely right to act how he did, given the events of Teapot 15. I'm pretty sure I voted for Fanny and Price Tag to be safe in this episode. Even if not, I would have if the episode came out today. Next is Teapot 16, and this is the first Teapot episode in a bit that I remember for sure who I voted for. I used both votes on winner because I knew Golf Ball, Pencil, and Donut would certainly be safe, and I wanted Pillow and Yellowface gone. I would once again vote the same today. For BFDIA 18, I do not remember my rationale for disliking fries over tennis ball, but I sure did do that. I would probably dislike tennis ball instead though if the vote happened today. In Teapot 17, I voted for Lai on Bagged since I knew she would be in danger and there was no way Bottle would be getting out, which was correct on both counts. I am less certain about Team 2, but I'm pretty sure I voted for Book. Seeing as my vote would not have changed the outcome, I probably wouldn't change it today. Even though it wasn't an elimination, it's worth mentioning that in BFDIA 19, I voted for Leafy to be the next host to see how the other contestants would react to the return of Leafy. BFDIA 20 was a head-to-head matchup just like BFDIA 14, only between Coiny and Pin this time. Also like BFDIA 14, the choice was pretty obvious, even more so than BFDIA 14 was. I would once again vote the same today. As of this video, the most recent Teapot episode is Teapot 19, and despite a fairly bleak ending, there was still a vote to save, and vote to save I did. I voted for Fanny yet again on Death Pact yet again, and for Bottle on Bagged because her continued presence could provide some much needed levity. Last but not least is BFDIA 22, the most recent episode overall as of this video's release. I disliked Needle in this episode entirely because I liked the other two more in this episode. It's possible that today I would have disliked Coiny instead, though. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on.